A very good day, everyone. Welcome to my channel Bioscholars Academy. So, today I'm here with a new video regarding a very interesting topic, my personal favorite topic, that is cancer. Okay, there are so many people dying due to cancer, and there are so many reasons for cancer. Okay, so before I start, I would like to tell the study of cancer is called as oncology, and the doctors who deal with the treatment and the various aspect of cancer are called as oncologist. Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to deal with is I'm going to make you people understand what is cancer, what are the types of cancer, what is the cause for cancer, okay, and also the molecular basis, the genes responsible for cancer. Okay, that is all we are going to study in today's video. Fine. So this comes under Unit 4 in your CSIR NET syllabus, that is cell communication and cell signaling. Okay, it's a very important topic. You do have part C and part B questions coming up from this particular topic. Okay, fine. So before we understand what cancer is, we all have to understand what a tumor is. Okay, so tumors are nothing but huge mass of dividing cells. Okay, any huge mass of dividing cell is called as a tumor. Okay, tumors are of two types. One is benign tumor, another one is malignant tumor. Okay, we should understand the differences between benign tumor and malignant tumor. Fine. So benign tumor is nothing but the tumor doesn't spread from one part of the body to another part. Okay, as a result, it is not harmful. They just remove it. It can be removed surgically. Okay, say for example, your fibroids in uterus, breast, they are all example for benign tumors. Okay, they do not spread from one part of the body to another, so they are definitely not harmful. So benign tumors are very common. Okay, there is no need to get scared if a person has tumors. Okay, there is a tension only if the tumor is malignant. Okay, that is why the once the tumor is being removed, they send it for biopsy. Okay, in that biopsy they find out whether the tumor is benign or whether the tumor is malignant. If the tumor is benign, there is nothing to worry much. Okay, but if the tumor is malignant, they may have to subject the patient for chemotherapy. Okay, so what is this malignant tumor? Malignant tumor is again a huge mass of dividing cell which can spread from one part of the body to another, and it is the reason for cancer. Okay, so what do you understand by this? Not all tumors are harmful, not all tumors are cancerous. Okay, that is what is a basic understanding that each and every one of us should first understand. Okay, so if there is a huge mass of cells or mass of tissue you find on your body, it doesn't mean you are suffering from cancer. Okay, there are more chances that it can just be a benign tumor which can be removed surgically. Okay, so this is the basic understanding and difference between benign and malignant tumor. Okay, with this understanding we shall proceed to the next slide. So this is what is an overview of cancer. What exactly happens during cancer? Okay, so first of all, what is cancer? It is the uncontrolled cell division. Okay, the cell undergoes repeated mitotic division, repeated cell division. So usually there must be a control for cell division. The cell division has to be stopped at one or the other point, yes or no? But it doesn't happen in case of this scenario. Okay, so for that to happen, there has to be initiation of the cancer. Okay, the cancer initiation has to takes place. How does this cancer initiation takes place? It happens due to genetic changes. Okay, everything in our system is genetically controlled. There are genes which are responsible for cell cycle regulation, genes which will initiate cell cycle, genes which will stop cell cycle. So those genes will undergo certain changes, or in other words, you can call it as mutation. Okay, that is what is called the initiation process. So this initiation could be due to an exposure to a carcinogen. Okay, carcinogen is nothing but a cancer causing agent. Okay, and it could also be due to various factors like your inherited factors. Okay, sometimes it can be sporadic without any history from the past or from their parents. The person may show tumor. Okay, then initiation leads to promotion. What is this promotion? Promotion is nothing but the cell keeps on undergoing cell division. Okay, and now after promotion it leads to progression. All the genes now become unstable. Okay, all the genes are either activated, okay, or all the genes are either suppressed. So what happens? It is going to facilitate the uncontrolled cell division. Okay, this is very important. Metastasis is very important. Okay, until here it can be, the tumor can be benign. Okay, but once it starts metastasizing, it becomes malignant. Okay, so metastasis means tumor invasion. The tumor spreads from one part of the body to another part. Okay, that is called as metastasis. It's called tumor invasion, and now that is going to lead to cancer, otherwise called as malignancy. Okay, I hope I have given you a clear overview of what exactly cancer is. Fine. Now let's move on to the types of cancer. Okay, there are so many types of cancer. First is sarcoma. What is sarcoma? Sarcoma is the cancer of the connective tissue. So, what are the connective tissues present in us? We have our bone, tendons, ligaments, loose connective tissue, fluid connective tissue. We have a lot. Okay, so that is called as a sarcoma. Then we will study each one in detail again. Next, you have carcinoma, that is cancer of the ectoderm. You all know we have three germ layers: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Okay, so the cancer of the ectodermal derivatives is called as carcinoma. And finally, blood cancer, it is a cancer of the blood cells. Okay, so these are the three broad classifications of cancer: sarcoma, carcinoma, and blood cancer. Okay, now we shall study each one in detail. Sarcoma, as I said you, it is this cancer of the connective tissue. Okay, all the soft tissues, like your, what are soft tissues? Tissues other than your bone and cartilage. Okay, what are hard tissues? Bone and cartilage are your hard tissue. Okay, it is less frequent, that means it is not very common. Okay, and the progression is very slow. It doesn't show a very fast progression or very fast metastasis, so the progression is quite slow. Okay, if detected at a very early stage, they have 50 to 80% of the survival rate. So the survival rate is quite high and the progression is also very slow. What does it mean? So sarcoma is not very severe kind of cancer. Okay, that is what we have to understand. Okay, so usually seen in children and in young adults. Okay, next, carcinoma. Carcinoma is a cancer of the ectoderm, skin, and lining of different organs. So this is the major type of cancer, okay, which involves your skin cancer or your digestive cancers of your alimentary canal. Okay, so like your mouth cancer, all that, stomach cancer, there are a lot. There are different types. Okay, first is your basal cell. So what is basal cell? This the every what to say, every say for example your alimentary canal. So alimentary canal is lined by basal cells. Okay, the basic lining of a lining of a system is done by basal cells. Okay, it's not very severe, occurs as an open sore, and it's very easy to remove. The basal cell cancer is not a very severe type of cancer, like it occurs as an open sore and it's very easy to remove. So many people you would have seen, they will complain regarding they have ulcers, and the doctors will diagnose cancer. Okay, so it is a kind of basal cell cancer. Okay, there will be open sore in the stomach or in the alimentary canal that can lead to basal cell carcinoma. Okay, next, squamous cell. All organs which have squamous cell. So squamous epithelium is a kind of epithelium. Okay, and all the organs, vital organs, have this squamous cell, and they can also spread easily. Fine. And melanoma, you all know, it is the skin cancer. So what are melanocytes? Melanocytes are pigment cells of the skin. Okay, so when these melanocytes undergo tumor invasion, that is going to cause melanoma. Then adenoma, glandular cells, mucus, and hormone secreting cell. Okay, so the adenoma is again very common. All your breast cancers, okay, and your uterine cancers, they are all adenoma. So these are the four important types of carcinoma. Okay, next, blood cancer. Blood cancer is commonly called as lymphoma. It's called cancer of the lymph system. So what is lymph? Lymph is a colorless fluid, okay, which is being produced in the lymphatic system. Okay, and it is of two types. Lymphoma is of two types. One is Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the other one is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay, Hodgkin's lymphoma is less common. This is very much common, non-Hodgkin. So Hodgkin lymphoma occurs in adolescence in a very young age. So non-Hodgkin increases with age. Hodgkin's lymphoma moves in an orderly fashion. So what does it mean if it's moving in an orderly fashion? That means you're able to detect the progression of cancer, so the doctors can understand and analyze and start treating the cancer well. Okay, whereas non-Hodgkin is unpredictable progression. The progression is not at all predictable. So the treatment is going to become much difficult in case of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay. Next, leukemia. It's a you would have heard blood cancer, blood, lot of times many of you would have heard. Okay, it's the cancer of the blood forming cells. Okay, so what is blood? Blood is just not your RBCs, right? So blood has a lot of other cells, right? What are the cells? First of all, where are the blood cells produced? They are produced in the bone marrow, right? So in the bone marrow, you have hematopoietic stem cells. So hematopoietic stem cells give rise to two kinds of cells. One is a myeloid progenitor and lymphoid progenitor cells. Okay, so your myeloid progenitor cell is going to give rise to all these kinds of cells. Okay, what are these monocytes? Basophil, eosinophil, neutrophil. These are all types of WBCs. Okay, again, mast cells, platelets. These are all a part of your blood. Okay, that is what is called. So myeloid leukemia, or any type of cancer that is related to this cells, then we call it as myeloid leukemia. Okay, then coming to lymphoid. Lymphoid, you have your dendritic cell, natural killer cell. NK cell stands for natural killer cell. Okay, then you have your B cell, then T cell. So any kind of tumor for this lymphoid progenitor cell, then we call it as lymphoid. Then we call it as lymphoid leukemia. Okay, so I hope I have clarified you regarding the types of cancer. Coming to carcinogens. Okay, so first of all, what are carcinogens? Carcinogens are agents that cause cancer. Okay, to put it in a very simple form, it can be of, there are so many reasons for cancer. It can be physical, it can be chemical, or it can be biological. Okay, so first of all, physical carcinogens, physical agents like UV rays, gamma rays, Sometimes they even tell frequent exposure to x-rays can also cause tumor, right? So UV rays, what do they actually do? Okay, we all know there is DNA in our system. Okay, so DNA is the sole reason for everything. So what does UV rays do? UV rays results in the formation of thymine dimer. So if this is a strand of DNA, if there are two thymine, so you all know what thymine is. Thymine is a nucleotide base. There is a dimer formation. There is a bond formation between this thymidine due to the exposure to UV rays. Okay, and this results in mutation. Okay, and usually it again, if this mutation is not detected by the DNA repair system, this can result in cancer. Okay, then gamma rays also damages DNA. We are all exposed to a lot of radiations from the mobile phone, right? Lot of radiations from the various gadgets we use in our day-to-day life, right? So all those are directly or indirectly causing damage to our DNA. Okay, so this is one basic understanding of physical carcinogens. Next, chemical carcinogens. Again, we are exposed to a wide range of chemicals. Okay, alkylating agent, okay, polycyclic and heterocyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, acylating agent, aromatic amines, natural microbial products. Okay, so what do they actually do? They again cause mutations in the DNA. They all work at the very basic level of the cell, that is at the DNA level itself. Okay, they cause one or the other kind of mutation in these in our DNA, and that mutation will be passed from one cell to another during cell division, and it just proceeds. Okay, then there are two types: direct acting carcinogen, indirect acting carcinogen. Okay, some carcinogens acts directly and they cause cancer. Some carcinogens act indirectly and cause cancer. Okay, example, alpha toxin becomes linked to yes, alpha toxin become linked to the G residues in the DNA and induces G to T transversions. So in mutations you would have studied transition and transversion. So what this alpha toxin does, it is not directly causing transversion, right? So what it is doing, it is going and getting linked to the G residue. What is G here? G is guanine. Okay, guanine in the DNA, and what happens during the next round of DNA replication, it converts G to T. Okay, it converts G to T. It's an indirect transversion. Okay, whereas UV rays is a direct transfer, direct acting carcinogen, directly acting carcinogen. This is an indirectly acting carcinogen. Okay, then these are certain chemicals which are supposed to cause certain types of cancer, like benzene, it causes leukemia; arsenic, lung and skin; cadmium, it causes prostate cancer; radon, it causes lung cancer; asbestos, lung and gastrointestinal tract; vinyl chloride, it causes liver cancer. So, especially the water these days is contaminated with heavy metals. Okay, so we are all directly or indirectly exposed to these kind of heavy metals. Okay, and people who are working in chemical industries, they are not provided with proper safety. Okay, so they are more and more prone for the exposure of certain chemicals. Okay, and over a long run of exposure, they will be having or they might suffer from one or the other kind of cancer in the future. Okay, fine. Biological carcinogens, it's a very interesting fact that viruses can also cause cancer. Okay, so it is papilloma virus. It's going to cause cancer in the cervix of the women. Okay, so what it does is Papilloma virus viral DNA has two components. One is E6 and other one is E7. Okay, so what it does is it is going to inactivate two of this is viral genes. Okay, these are viral gene, these are human gene. Okay, viral gene P53 and RB. Okay, P53 is an apoptotic gene, or it's a tumor suppressor gene. For now I will call it as tumor suppressor gene. Later I'll explain you what apoptotic gene is. So what do you understand by the term tumor suppressor gene? It is going to suppress the tumor formation. Okay, it is going to suppress the tumor formation. When E6 and E7 from the papilloma virus are exposed, the P53 gene and the RB gene are going to get what? Are going to get inactivated. Okay, once this P53 and RB gene, since their tumor suppressor gene are not active in the cell, it can lead to tumor, and that causes carcinoma of the uterine cervix. Very common in female, very common in female above 50 years, cervical cancer. Okay, next adenovirus. Adenovirus is again same thing. They have two components. This is the viral gene, this is the human gene. Okay, it again leads to tumor, adenoma. Okay, fine. So what have we studied till now? We have studied what is the meaning of cancer and what are the different types of carcinogens. Okay, we shall proceed. This is very important. Properties of cancer cell. What is the property? How do you differentiate a normal cell and a cancer cell? Okay, so first thing is loss of contact inhibition. So first of all, I would like to tell you what contact inhibition is. In a normal scenario where the cells are healthily growing with proper cell cycle and all those things, whenever the cells start growing, okay, when the cells start stacking upon each other, they will contact each other, yes or no? So this contact causes inhibition of cell cycle, and that is called contact inhibition. Okay, but whereas in cancer cell there is no contact inhibition. The cells just pile upon each other and they keep dividing and keep dividing. Okay, that is what is called as contact inhibition. Next, immortalization. What is immortalization? Maximum, each and every cell in our body will be undergoing a certain number of cell divisions. Say for example 20 cell division, say for example 30 cell division. After certain number of cell division, they stop dividing and they start undergoing apoptosis. Okay, they stop dividing and they start undergoing apoptosis. What is apoptosis? Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Okay, every day so many cells in our system are undergoing apoptosis, are killed because they are aged. Okay, they have undergone certain number of cell division, and after this they cannot undergo any cell division and they are marked for apoptosis. But cancer cells do not undergo apoptosis. That means what? They undergo continuous cell division. There is no end for the cell division to happen. It keeps on happening. 100 cell division, 1000 cell division. See, there are so many cell lines that are being collected for research purposes. Okay, there is a cell line called HeLa cell line. Okay, it is a cell line which was donated by a woman who suffered from cervical cancer. Okay, still today researchers use this HeLa cell line for cancer research. Okay, it is almost a very long time. I'm not sure about the exact date and all, but this is what it is. Okay, next, angiogenesis. See, now that the cells are growing, the cells are dividing, they definitely need nutrition, they definitely need blood, right? How are they going to get this nutrition? They're going to get this nutrition or all the necessary stuff from the blood. So for the blood to reach the cell, there has to be blood vessels. right? So that formation of blood vessel is called as angiogenesis. Okay, so for the cell division to happen continuously, it doesn't happen just like that. It happens via angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is nothing but um, formation of blood vessels. Okay, the next one is protease secretion. So what is this protease? Protease is an enzyme, right? So it's going to break down the proteins. Where? It is going to break down the proteins in the ECM. What is ECM? Extracellular matrix. Why? Why do you think they have to break down the proteins in the ECM? Because they have to start invading into the other parts of the body. For malignancy to happen, they have to move from one cell to the one part of the body to another. For that, they have to break down the extracellular matrix. So what is this extracellular matrix made up of? It is made up of collagen, right? It is made up of various other proteins, elastin. So all these proteins has to be broken down, and only then there will be invasion of tumor or metastasis. Okay. Next, as I already told you, they fail to undergo apoptosis. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Okay. Cancer cells do not undergo apoptosis. Okay. Very, very important for you to understand the properties of cancer cell. Okay. I hope it's clear. We shall proceed to the next slide. Yes, this is again, questions are asked based on this. Types of cancer critical genes. I already told you, um, cancer doesn't occur by itself. There has to be certain kind of mutation at the genetic level. So this is what I was talking about, the molecular aspect of cancer. Okay, so cancer genes are classified into two groups based on whether the cancer risk arise from gain of function mutation or loss of function mutation. So before this, I would like to make a point very clear. See, few genes help in cell cycle. Okay, few genes help in cell death. Okay, few genes helps in cell cycle and few gene help in cell death. Okay, so it can actually arise from gain of function mutation or loss of function mutation of a gene. Just imagine, okay, if if a cell, say for example cyclins helps in cell cycle. Okay, so a cyclin gene is always active throughout the cell cycle. What does it mean? The cell will keep on undergoing cell division, right? That is what is called as gain of function mutation. Okay, or loss of function mutation. What is this loss of function mutation? Loss of function mutation means, as I already told you, the tumor suppressor genes. Okay, tumor suppressor genes are present in every one of us. Okay, they are going to stop the cell division, they are going to regulate the cell division, as well as they are going to mark the cell for apoptosis once it has undergone a certain number of cell cycles. Okay, so we shall discuss about this in detail. Pay a little attention to this. Okay, genes for which a gain of function mutation drives a cell towards cancer are called as proto-oncogenes. Okay, any gene that is responsible for cell division are called as proto-oncogene. Okay, so like all the genes which are responsible for cell division. Okay, fine. This is called a gain of function mutation. So they gain a function. So now these proto-oncogenes will become oncogenes. Okay, a gain of function mutation in a single copy of a proto-oncogene can drive a cell towards cancer. What does this mean? See, usually for every gene, there will be two alleles, right? There will be two alleles. Say, for example, T and T. Okay, what they are trying to tell is even one gene is mutated in case of proto-oncogene, even if one gene is mutated, that is enough. That is enough for the cancer to proceed. Okay, so that is enough for a cancer to proceed, and that's called as the dominant mutation. Okay, a gain of function mutation in a single copy of a proto-oncogene. Just one copy. Usually there are two copies of a gene. Even in one copy of a gene, if there is a mutation, that is enough for the cancer to occur in case of gain of function mutation. So what have we studied? Gain of function mutation, which leads to uncontrolled cell division. Okay, they are called as the proto-oncogene, and a mutation in the single copy of a proto-oncogene is more than enough, and hence it's called a dominant mutation. You have part C questions based on this one slide. You understand this one slide, definitely you will be able to answer one part C question. Okay, next. Cancer causing mutation of the tumor suppressor gene is a loss of function mutation. Okay, loss of tumor suppressor genes, I already told you, the genes which are going to suppress the tumor. So when these tumor suppressor genes lose their function, what happens? What happens? The cell will progress into cancer. Okay, and both the copies of the gene must be suppressed or inactivated. In this case, okay, in this case, both the genes must be mutated. Say for example TT, both the genes must be mutated. Here it is only one single gene. Here it is both the genes. Okay, so what kind of mutation do we call it as? We call it as a recessive mutation. Okay, I repeat, there are two kinds of genes. One is your proto-oncogenes, other one is your tumor suppressor gene. Proto-oncogene is a gain of function mutation. Tumor suppressor gene is a loss of function mutation. Okay, proto-oncogene it's a dominant mutation. That means mutation in a single copy of a proto-oncogene can drive the cell towards cancer. Okay, whereas, again I repeat, whereas your tumor suppressor gene requires mutation in both the copies of the gene, and hence it is said to be recessive. Okay, now we shall discuss more on proto-oncogenes. What are these proto-oncogenes? They're basically going to control growth and cell division. Okay, the proteins encoded by proto-oncogenes include your growth factors like epidermal growth factor, platelet derived growth factor, fibroblast growth factor. Okay, growth factor receptors. Okay, the growth factor is going to come and bind to the growth factor receptor for the cell to undergo cell division, right? So growth factors receptors, where is the receptors present? The receptors can be present on the membrane, that is your transmembrane receptor, or they can be present inside the cell, any which ways. Transcription factors, if you have studied transcription, you all would know what transcription factors are, and signal transducers. Okay, these are all proto-oncogenes. So if there is a gain of function mutation in these genes, okay, then it results in cancer. Okay, they drive the transformation process by driving cell proliferation. Cell proliferation is nothing but uncontrolled cell division without any regulation. Okay, next. Yeah, proto-oncogene to oncogene. I already told you the proto-oncogene has to undergo a kind of mutation to become an oncogene. So it can undergo a point mutation. What is a point mutation? Alteration in a single nucleotide. Okay, it can be any nucleotide A, T, G, C. Any alteration in the single nucleotide can convert a non-harmful proto-oncogene into a oncogene. And such example for it is RAS oncogene. RAS is a set of transcription factors, okay, which are involved in cell signaling. This is one kind of method for the proto-oncogene to become an oncogene. Next, you have chromosomal translocation. These two are very important. Questions have been asked based on this: Burkitt's lymphoma and Philadelphia chromosome. So, what is translocation? Gene from one chromosome moves to the another gene, moves to the another chromosome. Okay. So, on chromosome 8, there is a gene called c-MYC. Okay. On chromosome 14, there is a gene called Ig. So what happens? This c-MYC gene gets translocated from chromosome 8 to chromosome 14. Okay. And this c-MYC and Ig together leads in the tumor progression. That is what is called as Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay. Now, Philadelphia chromosome. This is chromosome 8, 14. Remember the chromosome number and remember the genes. Okay. Next, Philadelphia chromosome, chromosome 9 and chromosome 22. Remember the chromosome number. So, in chromosome 9, you have your CABL gene. Okay, again, all these are genes involved in one or the other kind of cell cycle regulation. Okay. Then you have your BCR gene. So this CABL gene gets translocated into your BCR gene and then hence forms your Philadelphia chromosome. Okay, see the reasons, probably for point mutation I can point out a reason, maybe due to exposure to certain carcinogen. But for translocation there is no certain reason as such. Okay, it just happens all by itself. Okay. Yeah, I hope it's clear how a proto-oncogene is converted into an oncogene and few examples for your oncogenes. Okay, yes. Cis-PDGF, a platelet-derived growth factor. ERBB EGF, epidermal growth factor. SRC ABL, tyrosine kinase, these are all certain enzymes. Then KRAS GTPase, in cell signaling you will study, or RAS GTPase. Then you have June, FOS, MICE, which are all transcription factor. So again, this slide is also very, very important. Examples of proto-oncogenes. Okay. Next, tumor suppressor genes. Okay. So these tumor suppressor genes are of two types. One is gatekeeper and caretakers. What is gatekeepers? Those that directly inhibit cell growth or promote cell death. Okay, cell death is equally important in an organism. It doesn't mean always the body has to produce cells, has to grow cells. No, the cells have to die. Yes, if they are not dying, it is definitely going to cause one or the other harmful effect. So that is when we have our gatekeepers. Okay, then caretakers promote genetic stability, function in DNA repair. Okay, the DNA has got repaired. Say for example, you are exposed to UV rays and there are a lot of thymidine dimers that are being produced. So the DNA repair system will now be active, that it will try to, listen, it will try to completely remove the thymidine dimers or pyrimidine dimers. 80% of the cases it removes the pyrimidine dimers. Sometimes when the exposure is more, when the exposure to UV radiations is more, that is when the system fails and the tumor progresses. Okay, so DNA repair genes are also kind of tumor suppressor gene. So what are the genes which are involved in tumor suppression? DNA repair genes, okay, genes that promote genetic stability, and also genes that causes cell death, that is your apoptotic genes. Okay. Yes, examples for TSG, genes that regulate or inhibit cell cycle. Example is P16 and RB. Every example is very, very important. Okay. Genes that participate in DNA repair, HMLH1. Then genes that promote apoptosis. Okay, out of this, P53 is a very favorite topic for all the CSIR net examiners. Okay, they ask you a lot of questions regarding P53 gene. Now, yes, what does this P53 do? P53 goes and binds to the DNA. This is a double stranded DNA. It goes and binds to the DNA, and once P53 is bound to the DNA, it is going to activate another gene called P21. Okay, and this P21 is going to inhibit cell division and hence marks the cell for apoptosis. Okay, marks the cell for apoptosis. This is one tumor suppressor gene. Next we will go for RB. RB stands for retinoblastoma. Okay, so what is this retinoblastoma? It is a gene which is responsible for cancer in the eyes, okay, of your retina, cancer of the retina. So what does this RB do? RB goes and binds to a transcription factor called E2F. E2F is a transcription factor. So when RB goes and binds to E2F, it regulates cell division. No more cell division occurs. Okay, very simple. You remember these pictures, you'll be able to understand the function of each and everything. Okay, this is what I was telling you, people. Make your own notes, make unique diagrams. In a way you can understand. Others might find it funny, but you can always predict and understand. Just I see this, I can just tell the whole thing, right? That is what is the technique. Okay, next you have BRCA1 and BRCA2. These two are genes which are involved in breast cancer. Okay, they are cell cycle checkpoint genes. The entire cell cycle will have certain checkpoints. Okay, one after S phase, one after G phase, all those things. So that will be checked by this BRCA1 and BRCA2. Okay, next you have your chromatin remodeling complex, SW1 and SNF. Okay, if this SW1 and SNF, what is chromatin? First of all, DNA bound with histone protein is called as chromatin. Okay, so if this chromatin remodeling complex is mutated, there will be no activation of tumor suppressor gene. If there is no activated tumor suppressor gene, what does it lead to? It leads to cancer. Okay, these are few examples of tumor suppressor genes. Okay, so what does a tumor suppressor gene does? It either promotes apoptosis, or it inhibits cell division, or it checks the fidelity of the cell cycle, means how correctly cell cycle is been happening. Okay, or it is involved in DNA repair. Okay, there is one more interesting part to your cancer, that is role of telomerase. So first of all, what is telomere? Telomere is the ends of the chromosome, right? So usually what happens after each cycle, this end shortens. After each cell cycle, the ends of the telomere shortens. Okay, and this telomerase is an enzyme that is going to maintain the length of the telomere. I repeat, first of all, telomere is the ends of the chromosome. Okay, and telomerase is an enzyme that maintains the length of the telomere. And one more thing is, after every cell cycle, the length of the telomere shortens. Normally, in a healthy cell, the length there is no telomerase in a healthy cell. Okay, so the telomerase decreases, or I can put it like this: the telomerase content decreases after each cycle in the after each cell cycle. So what happens when the telomere reaches a certain length? The cell will be marked for apoptosis. That is what we call it as terminally differentiated cells. Okay, so at that time what happens? The telomere length will be reduced. So now the cell identifies the cell is aged enough. We have to remove this cell by apoptosis. But in case of cancer cells, they show a high level of telomerase. So what happens? There is no shortening of telomere in case of cancer cells. Okay, the chromosomes in the cancer cell will not show shortening of telomere, and as a result they are not marked for apoptosis and they keep dividing. Very simple. Okay, and they keep dividing. So it's very simple. In normal healthy cell, the telomere length shortens. In cancer cell, the telomere length doesn't get shortened. Okay, fine. So this is what a basic or a overview understanding of what cancer is. Okay, definitely from your CSIR or any competitive exam point of view. Okay, thank you for watching me. Do subscribe for my YouTube channel. If you have any queries, if you want to enroll to my classes, do mail me at the given mail ID, and do follow us at our Instagram page. Okay, thank you so much for all the support until now. Thank you.